What I love about coming home when I used to go to university or be away for a long time is when you get to a certain point in the latitude, you can smell it. You can smell the forest, you can smell the water. And when you go outside, you can smell the weather. And for Norway House, I love that it is, you are so connected to the environment around you. Hi, I'm Dr. Courtney Leary. I am the first First Nations physician from Norway House, and also one of the only First Nations physicians to ever have practiced in Norway House.
So how long is your commute to work generally?
5 minutes. 3 to 5 minutes. Depending on, I don't know, dogs and bears, I suppose. I have no excuse to ever not be on time for work. I have absolutely no excuse. This is the Norway House Indian Hospital, as you can see from the sign. And this section is the Norway House Community Clinic.
Cool.
Enjoying the weather? It's a little brisk out there. It's okay. This is our treatment room where we do all of the screening of patients, blood pressures, weights, heights, all that kind of stuff. Their charts are waiting for their appointments. The healthcare aides will do all the screening, get a basic information of, what's going on today if they're a walk-in. And then usually if it's an appointment, then it's a scheduled and there's a reason why they're here. And then after that, this is Travis.
Hi.
One of the helpful workers. And yeah, so after they've been screened, then they go back and they wait in the waiting room. And this all got reconfigured during COVID and then back again. So it's always a work in progress. Okay?
Yes.
All right, good. Sounds good. I think that one of my gifts is knowing when it's time to listen, knowing when it's time to be quiet, knowing when it's time to just take a moment and let the patient tell you what it is that they want. Or you have to be able to pick up on that sense or that feeling that there's something not right here, and you need to provide a safe space for them to bring it out to you.
CBC
And
famous.
there are times in my job, and this is when I feel like I'm doing the best job possible, is when I feel like Creator has put me in this moment at this specific time to be there for this person because you're who they needed. The medicine, I love that it's like a mystery. It's like a mystery novel every time. This is how I teach people, that you have to think of your patient as a mystery novel, and you get little clues and you got to pull it all together, and at the end it's a big reveal of this is it, this is what it is. And I love that about medicine. I also love mystery novels. I decided to be a doctor when I was 12 years old, and I never changed my mind despite all of the other things that I could have done or been. And obviously at 12 years old, you don't really know why it is that you want a certain career. It just sounded like a good choice at the time. I went to the University of Manitoba for undergrad, for medical school, and for both residency training programs. So I think because when you grow up with all the same people, you don't realize that you're different from the outside as much. And so it wasn't until I left Norway House that you recognize what your experience is, what your normal is not normal for everybody else. So you don't really realize how Indigenous you are and what that means to you and your culture until you're exposed to others. But what it also made me realize is how close we are, like how us like the Indigenous people in Norway House, the people that I grew up with, our families, close, supportive, friends, like your cousins are your brothers and sisters. And the people that you grew up with, their parents are also your parents. And that support system is sometimes lacking in other places. When I was 19, I had my son. And it was kind of a, what are you going to do now sort of moment. I mean, I think there was probably a lot of people who would say, you're young, 19, you're broke, you're pregnant, you didn't have a very good first year of university, they'd probably look at that and just see failure written all over it. And I guess I just was too stubborn to give up or change my mind, and so didn't allow that to be a part of my narrative. I've worked in Pine Falls, Saugeen. I worked in Broken Head. I worked in Thompson. And then I did my training in Winnipeg. But the goal was always to come back to Norway House. The reason I went to other places mostly was to gain the experience I needed to do a good job here. And I didn't want to come back to Norway House not being as capable and as competent as I possibly could be. Because when you come back to your home community, you are trying to be a physician, trying to be a helper to people that you really care about. So it's an interesting thing about coming back home. I think that when you're Indigenous, because a part of you never leaves here. The house that I'm in now, that I live in while I'm working here in Norway House, belongs to me and my 3 sisters. And we inherited it from my mother. And so the land that we are on now is the same land that my aunts and uncles and my mother grew up on, the same hill that they used to play on. Until I moved back here to work here and I was traveling in and out all the time, it was so hard to leave, because this is who you are. This is where you're from. This is where your parents are from. This is where your history is. Knowing that I can stand on the same spot that my mom did, or that my aunts and uncles did, it just makes you feel this is where I belong.